All right, well, this is the 1940 Model L here. We haven't touched it for 2 years, and we want to work on it. We're going to change the gas tank. That's going to be number one here to do, and we're going to put a different cast iron carb on it, and more than likely have to get the spark working on the Edison mag again, and then it should run. So let's see what we got. All right, here's a replacement gas tank that I found a few years ago. It's the right type of tank for this early Model L. So hopefully it doesn't leak and we'll be in good shape. This is the gas tank that was on the 40, and it's DPO. I tried to make some kind of repair on the end. I don't know what the heck that is, if it's epoxy or fiberglass or what, but it didn't really work. It has some brazing on the bottom. You can see a bunch of brass on there, I think. And this thing is so flaky inside that the tractor would run for about 30 seconds and it would plug up with junk. In fact, watch this. If I give it a little shake, see if anything comes out. Well, you can hear it. Whoa! The whole tank is full of junk like that. Bad news. All right, so the gas tank's in. I just got to tighten down the straps. And what I do is I take a pair of channel locks like this and I squeeze together the strap down here, and that allows me to get the bolt in there. So, you know, let's tighten them up and work on the carb next. Now, somewhere in this box of parts is a carburetor that we're going to try to use. Here we go. And I forget the deal with this one, but this thing looks sweet, huh? It's got the elbow on it. It's got all this stuff. I don't remember where I got that from, but that one looks really nice. Yeah, this is supposed to go to the air cleaner on that thing. I think this might be the original carb that was in there. I don't remember what happened, why we switched, but we're definitely gonna try to make one of these parts carbs go back on there. Well, this is the carb that was in the bag. You know, I think if I'm remembering right, I didn't have a gasket. I bought a pack of gaskets for cast iron carbs, and I believe I bought a new whole needle assembly here. I just got to find them in the garage somewhere, but I think we're just going to clean this sucker up and put it on there. I'd like to paint it black so that it doesn't rust also, but let's find the parts first. All right, so I did find this box in the garage. I got these parts from what's called McDonald Carb, and I'm going to show you what I got. Let's see. Here's their business card, and I found them to be really quick. They have all this old stuff in stock, and they send it to you quick. I mean, look at all the companies on here that they deal with a lot. Even Wyco, Fairbanks, Walboro, you name it. Let me show you what's in the box. First of all, this gasket here is for an aluminum carb. It's different than a gasket for a cast iron carb. Cast iron carb doesn't have this fastener in the front up here. It's more just flat in the front. And what I did is I ended up buying a pack of them. I think I got 5 of them, but these are the cast iron carb gaskets here, and there's the brand new needle that I got. So before we put this together, I'm going to soak it in the carb dunk tank, and we'll put it in the dunk tank and let this thing clean up a little bit. I'm going to take the old needle out of the back here, but we'll let it soak for a half hour or so, and then we'll take it out and clean it up, and then at that point we'll put it together and spray paint the outside black. And I'll show you why we're going to do that. This carb over here that's on this thing got totally hammered, getting rusted out. And this one was on a different L, I think. It was like a 1957 L. I can't remember. Or this is the original to this. I just can't remember, but that thing is hammered too. So we're going to clean up that other one and throw it on here and see what we get. You know, I came over here and looked at this and I realized that the carb that's on the machine has this remote choke, and this carb does not. It just has a regular choke. So I'm actually going to take this one off and see if we can use this one. And I would like to keep this thing as original as possible. It also has a different casting on the top here. It says Zenith down the side. This one doesn't say Zenith on this side, but thought somewhere it did, but it doesn't over there. And on the top, this one kind of is a T-shaped casting, and this one is a L-shaped casting. So let's see if we can get this thing off. All right, we're gonna put this in a dunk tank. The shafts won't turn in it, nothing. So it's totally frozen. See what happens when we come back in a little bit. If it fixes it up or what. Try to get it all under the liquid here. Should do it. All right, so we're back to working on the carb on the 1940 Model L. And I lost track of time. It's now been about, let's see, I put it in there last Saturday, and now it's Monday night. So it's been in there maybe 9 or 10 days into the carb cleaner tank. So let's see what it looks like. All right, let's see what kind of magic happened in this can. It's been way too long. Hopefully the carb's still in there and it didn't disintegrate, right? No, it's not that kind of caustic where it would eat cast iron, that's for sure. But let's see what we got here. Oh baby, look at that. How pretty. This thing was solid rust when it went in here, if you remember. And the choke wouldn't move, nothing. Choke still doesn't move, by the way. So we didn't gain anything on that. But we'll have to hose. I like to just hose it off and see what we're left with here. And the top is still in there, so I'll have to grab the top out of there. When I worked on this carb the last time, I used this product called Evapo Rust. And I let it soak in there for about a day, and it definitely took all the rust off of it. But then the thing just rusted solid and became more rusty than it was before I even started. So I think my failure was that I never painted it. And this time I'm going to paint it. We're not going to have that failure again. So, all right, let's get that out of the way. And let me see if I can get the rest of it out here. There we go. Here's the top half of the carb. Let's see, that shaft's all stuck too. I have a feeling that if I just take a pair of pliers and grab the shaft that it will free right up. But it's stuck. I'm pulling with all my might with it, my thumb, and I can't get it to move. But anyways, let me kind of hose this down and see what we're left with. All right, so I grabbed it with a pair of pliers and it will not move. This is the throttle shaft. I'm just going to put a little heat in the edge here where it would pivot. And I'll give it just a couple seconds of heating and we'll see if maybe that frees it up. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Oof, that stinks. I'm burning the rubber gasket on the top. So let me grab my pliers here. Can't do this on camera, but I'll just try to give it a move and see what happens. All right, so I got it freed up and I squirted some oil in there and it's working pretty good, you know, so I'm happy with it. So now we've got to do the same thing to the choke. All right, so here's the deal on the choke. These old chokes have this crazy little lever that goes, you know, off a throttle type cable to move the choke. And this one had given me problems when it even worked. And I think that it got stripped in there. And I'm trying to remember, but I think there's like a spline in here that it goes on. So I'm just unscrewing this to check it out before we get too crazy. So if I take this off, yeah, there's like a splined shaft up here over this nut, and this piece is supposed to have little splines in it, and I think that those splines wore off of it, But regardless, the choke won't turn, so the splines are kind of useless if the choke won't turn. So I can't remember if you put, I'm going to get a wrench on this and see if I can loosen that up. I can't remember if that holds the shaft in or if that, or what it does, but I'm kind of thinking if I loosen it and maybe I can free it up. All right, so I got the nut off of this side and I got all the linkage off of this side, and it still won't free up. And I don't know if you can see all the rust inside this carb, but this sucker is rusty, man. I mean, that bath and the carb cleaner, I mean, it didn't really do anything to the rust in all reality. It made it look better for a minute, but I literally took it outside and hosed it off with a garden hose, and it took all the black sludge off, and the rust is still there. So I'm going to try heating up inside both sides of this here where the choke shaft goes through there, and maybe I can work it in the front here with a screwdriver, or maybe I can carefully take some vice grips on the shaft away from the splined area and try to move it, but it's not looking too good for it. All right, so I put a pair of vice grips on there and it's able to free it up, which is great news. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Dremel tool with the wire wheel and just shove it in there and try to bust off all that rust that's in there. And I think if I put a little oil in here, we'll literally be back in business. So I've been using this little oil can and just kind of give it some oil. Try to squirt it in where the shaft goes and the sides here, wherever, and work it a couple times and you can feel it start to free right up, which is really good because this thing was, this thing was stuck. I think what happened is that last time I was playing with it, I may have broke the splines trying to force it, and yeah, it's getting really freed up good now, so that's just what we want. So I'll take the vice grips off and I'll put a little more oil in and we should be in good shape, but it opens and closes very easy right now. So that's good news. I can just grab it with my fingers and move it without even needing the vice grip, so even better news, but that's how it's going. All right, so I just shot them both up with some black paint and cleaned them up with the wire wheel and stuff, so we'll let that paint dry and hopefully that will protect us from future rust until the first time the carb drips gas out of it and needs the paint off of it, but we're going to go with it regardless. All right, so the carb's all painted and it's been about 48 hours and it's still tacky, believe it or not. It's very humid right now. I just noticed that I missed a spot down on the bottom here, so I'll have to touch that up, but I did paint the butterfly and everything, which is dumb. It's just going to fall off, but that's how it is. All right, I got the new gasket in there. I got the float and the needle back in. We'll put these two halves together and bolt it together, and we'll see what we got. I'm having a little issue with my gasket here, and it's not cut big enough right here to get around this little orifice tube or whatever it's called. And if you look down here, that thing is flush with the carb. And I just can't get the gasket to go around it. This hole is not big enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of like trace out. You see how on the back left there's a little nub and there's one up there. Just kind of sketch out where they are in there and try to cut it very carefully with a knife just to go around those little spots. And hopefully we can get it back together here without any issues. All right, with a little bit of cutting with a pair of scissors, I got it to fit in there. So now let me see if I can get these two halves of the Carburetor back together. All right, so I got the carb all back together here. All the parts move, the choke lever works, everything. So I'm actually going to hit it with some more paint. I'm going to paint this area around the choke lever real quick. And I'm going to attempt to shoot up there where I missed. And then we're going to call it a day, I think. And I'm going to not set it up tonight. It's supposed to rain like crazy. And I'm going to let it stay in the garage and dry off a little more thoroughly before we install it, but I'm very happy with it so far. Now the next step on this tractor, I don't know if it has spark, I don't know if it's got a stuck valve, I don't know what it's got. So let's pop open the hood and see if we can even turn it over. Okay, it's turning so far. Feels good. Got compression. I can hear it breathing through the breather cap. Cool. All right, now I'm going to take my spark tester here and hook that up. Be right back. See if we got... Oh, we did have spark. What do you know? Oh, the Edison mag got some spark, baby. Here we go. Ready? About now. No. There we go. Score.